What is up, everybody? It's Animac here for AnimeUproar, and today I will be breaking down the many developments in the most recent chapter of the Attack on Titan story. A ton of important pieces are lining up for the final showdown, and it seems that the one and only Levi has come up with a master plan. A plan that may pit him directly against Eren himself. A massive new alliance has just been formed. An alliance that includes 5 different Titan shifters and 2 overpowered Ackermans. And their targets appear to be the Yeagerists, Zeke Yeager, and eventually Eren's Godzilla Titan. There is so much to talk about, so let's get into it. If you enjoyed the Attack on Titan content right here on the channel and you want us to keep it going, please leave a like, it really does help. And if you happen to be new to AnimeUproar, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications. If you don't turn on all notifications, you're gonna miss a lot of our videos. It's just how YouTube works. A big thank you to all of our AnimeUproar patrons who make videos like this one possible. I'll talk more about Patreon at the end of the video, but first, please be advised that this video will contain Attack on Titan manga spoilers. We are dealing with the latest developments in the story. We are way beyond the anime, so please proceed with caution. You have been warned. Chapter 126 starts off as a flashback in which we see just how Hanji and Levi managed to evade capture. Hanji hid Levi in the forest while treating his wounds, and she also fought off any members of the military who got close enough to finding them. This includes outright shooting the soldiers who were pursuing them, even though I'm sure it broke Hanji's heart to do it. It seems ironic that Hanji was forced to literally kill other members of the scouts in order to avoid being captured by the Yeagerists. But this just shows how much the story has changed over these past few arcs. Alliances keep shifting, friends become enemies, enemies become allies. It's just how Attack on Titan works. Hanji is doing her best to treat Levi's wounds with the limited resources that she has at her disposal. But thankfully she is a scientific genius, so she's able to carefully stitch Levi's wounds and take care of him as efficiently as possible under the circumstances. Hanji believes that Levi survived the explosion for the same reason that he was the only one who didn't turn into a Titan. His unique Ackerman bloodline makes his body fundamentally different from the other Eldians, and this allows him to overcome injuries that would have killed a normal person. As Levi lies unconscious, Hanji is contemplating what they should do next. She even considers just staying in the woods and hiding out there for the long term, because the way that things stand now, they are either going to end up in a jail cell or worse. Regardless of whether Zeke succeeds with his plan or whether Eren ends up betraying Zeke and taking power for himself, the Yeagerists can still use Zeke's strategically placed spinal fluid to control the island for the foreseeable future. But then, as Hanji is making a cart so she can move Levi around, she receives a telepathic communication from Eren, the same communication that all the other Eldians received. In fact, just like Mikasa, Levi also receives the message, and he regains consciousness immediately after Eren's communication ends. Levi says that he screwed up. He didn't realize that Zeke was prepared to die, and as a result he didn't take all the necessary precautions during his fight with Zeke. Levi tells Hanji that they cannot just hide away and stay out of the conflict. Levi is determined to kill Zeke once and for all, and he will stop at nothing in order to make that happen. Back in the present time, we see that Levi is fully conscious again and he is speaking to Magath and Peak. Magath is fully aware of Levi's incredible strength and he considers just shooting Levi now while he is vulnerable. But Levi tells him that he can either shoot him or actually listen to what he has to say. Magath says that he'll listen first before he shoots. Hanji then explains that Zeke wants to use Eren in order to harness the power of the Founding Titan without being affected by King Fritz's ideology. Hanji makes it clear that the Founding Titan is incredibly large and seemingly impossible to conquer, so their only option now is to join forces. This is a pretty insane proposition. Levi, Ackerman, and Hanji, people who sacrificed so much for the scouts and for defending the island, are actually considering teaming up with Marleyan invaders. However, Eren's Godzilla Titan is an absolute juggernaut, so if they really do plan to somehow stop Eren, they will have to use all the assets at their disposal. Not even Levi, the living legend himself, can take the new Eren on his own, and that's saying a lot. Elsewhere on the island, Connie is still having an internal debate about his intention to feed Falco to his mother's titan. Connie is thinking about the best way to get this boy into his mom's mouth. Yes, I just said that sentence. Thank you, Attack on Titan. And he doesn't know whether he should just use brute force or some other means. If he uses force, Falco might transform into the Jaw Titan, so Connie decides to try a pretty hilarious tactic. Connie leads Falco to his mom's titan in Ragako village, and he casually asks Falco to help him brush the titan's teeth. Definitely not suspicious at all. Like, what? Anyway, Connie seriously tries to tell Falco to climb a beam above the titan's mouth and start brushing its pearly whites. But before a confused Falco can actually do it, Gabby and Armin arrive on horseback. Gabby screams at Falco not to do what Connie says because Falco inherited the Jaw Titan and Connie is trying to feed him to his mother in order to save her. Falco is confused because he still doesn't remember becoming the Jaw Titan, and before Falco can react, Connie brings his blade to Falco's throat and warns the others to stay back. As Connie drags Falco up the wooden ladder in an attempt to get him close to the mouth of the Titan, Armin decides to save Falco by sacrificing himself. Armin prepares to enter Connie's mother's mouth instead of Falco. Again, a sentence I never thought I'd say. But Connie can't bear to see that happen. So Connie leaves Falco and leaps into the air, knocking Armin out of the Titan's path and saving him from being eaten. When they are all safely on the ground, Armin asks Connie why he didn't just let him die. This would have saved his mom since she would have just inherited the Colossal Titan instead of the Jaw Titan, but Connie couldn't let that happen. His mother wanted him to become a soldier that she could be proud of, and killing a kid or letting a close friend sacrifice himself in order to save her is not something that she would have wanted. Instead of trying to feed someone to his mother, Connie tells Armin that they should go be the kind of soldiers that his mother would be proud of. This whole series of events seems pretty crazy to me. Armin seems to be just filled with self-loathing, and he nearly sacrificed his own life for Connie's mom. Imagine sacrificing a commander of Erwin's caliber just so Armin could one day decide to use the Colossal Titan's power to save Connie's mom, a regular civilian with no military training. That's some brilliant strategizing there, Armin. But as ridiculous and unstable as Armin's state of mind appears to be, this bizarre event did accomplish one thing. After they just saw Armin attempting to sacrifice his own life to save Falco, I think it's safe to assume that Gabby and Falco will now trust Armin. They now know without a shadow of a doubt that Armin doesn't mean them harm and that they can trust him going forward. The next scene takes us to a hospital where we finally learn the answer to Attack on Titan's single biggest mystery: what happened to Mikasa's scarf? It turns out that the scarf was taken by Louise, that girl Mikasa saved back in Trost District. After Mikasa saved her, Louise became a huge Mikasa stan, and she eventually joined the Yeagerists. Apparently Louise is dying due to a thunder spear wound to the stomach, but she managed to preserve Mikasa's scarf after Eren told her to just throw the scarf away. This was back when Eren was in his emo tsundere stage, and he was trying to push Armin and Mikasa as far away from him as possible. Louise tells Mikasa about how much she idolizes and admires her, but Mikasa just grabs the scarf and walks away. You have to give it to Mikasa in this scene. She was pretty damn cold to Louise. However, we have to remember that Mikasa wasn't ever really on board with the Yeagerists, and Mikasa feels betrayed by all of these people who were supposedly her friends and comrades but ended up scheming behind her back. Mikasa still wants the scarf though. We all know that Mikasa can't really stay mad at Eren. As the last of the Wall Titans finally depart the capital, the Holy Eldian Emperor Floch rallies the Yeagerists while Jean stands quietly at his side. Mikasa is also there in the crowd, but when some guy asks her to join the Yeagerists, she says that she's not interested. Dude, Mikasa was like the first Yeagerist, although I guess she's more of an Erenist, but either way the action quickly jumps to some sort of outdoor market or restaurant type thing, and we see that people there are celebrating and praising the Yeagerists. Armin, Connie, Gabby, and Falco are on their way to find Reiner, but they decide to sit down and eat. As they're eating, Connie casually asks Armin whether Annie might really be back. And then, what do you know, Annie is literally right there, sitting down at the same table as they are and gobbling up a pie. I have to say this was pretty damn funny, although it seemed kind of uncharacteristic for Attack on Titan. I would expect a random comical coincidence like this in like the 7 Deadly Sins or Black Clover, but not in Attack on Titan. I was expecting the reunion between Annie and Armin after all those years to be more epic than this random scene where they meet each other by accident while Annie is stuffing her face with a pie. But what can you do? As Hitch returns to the table where she had left Annie to wait for her, she sees a note in which Annie explains that she decided to leave with Armin and Connie. I kind of feel bad for Hitch here. Hitch got ditched. Although this is definitely better for Hitch in the long run. If she had been caught helping Annie, the Yeagerists would have executed her for treason, so by leaving her at this time, Annie might have actually saved Hitch's life. Elsewhere in the capital, the gentle and benevolent King Emperor of Eldia, Floch the Great, is preparing to execute Yelena and Oyankonpon. Jean stands beside him with a gun in his hand. Presumably Jean is there to help with the execution, but I won't lie, while I was reading this part of the chapter, I was honestly expecting for Jean to just turn the gun on Floch and shoot him instead. I guess I can understand Floch's desire to execute Yelena. She had plotted with Zeke to sterilize all Eldians, but Oyankonpon didn't do any of that. All he did was try to help his own country along with helping the Eldians. Floch wants to execute Oyankonpon solely because this guy doesn't want to give up on his own country and just become a servant of Eldia instead. This shows just how ridiculous Floch is. No sane person would expect Oyankonpon or anyone else to just calmly accept the destruction of his own nation after he had dedicated his own life to try to save his people. I gotta say that I have huge respect for Oyankonpon and how he acted in this scene. Floch offered to spare him if he declared his undying loyalty to Eldia, but Oyankonpon refused. He will not bend the knee to people who want to destroy the entire world, including his own homeland, and he would rather die than flatter the likes of Floch. Oyankonpon is definitely a noble and admirable man, and someone who is willing to stick with his principles even in the face of certain death. Jean then goes to shoot Oyankonpon, but he apparently misses. Clearly he missed on purpose, and then in the next moment, Oyankonpon, Yelena, and Jean are all consumed by the Cart Titan. The Cart Titan appears out of nowhere, swallows the three of them, and then disappears again as fast as it appeared. Floch wonders where Mikasa is because he wants her to stop the Cart Titan, but Mikasa is nowhere to be found. In reality, Mikasa has already met up with Connie, Armin, Annie, and the others, and together they are all making their way out of the capital using 2 separate carts. As they depart, Annie notices that someone appears to be watching them from a window, and we see a silhouette of what looks like a middle-aged man. This is an interesting little detail. The only person that I could think of this being is maybe Keith Shadis, but you really can't tell based on the silhouette alone. We know that Shadis is not a fan of the Yeagerists, so it is possible that he will play some role in toppling the Yeagerists eventually. The Cart Titan brings Oyankonpon, Yelena, and Jean outside the city where they rendezvous with Magath, Hanji, and Levi. Jean reveals that he could no longer go along with the craziness of Floch, and he made a deal with Levi and Magath to betray the Yeagerists. In the final scene, Armin, Annie, and the crew locate Reiner and force him to wake up. Reiner is shocked to see Annie again, and he doesn't know what's going on, but Connie tells him to calm down. There is no time to lose because they are going to save the world. Levi, Reiner, Annie, Armin, Mikasa, Hanji, Peak, Falco, Gabby, Connie, and Jean appear to now be all on the same side. And they all appear to be preparing to take on the Yeagerists. Back when Eren first transformed into his new massive Godzilla Titan form, it seemed as if nothing would be able to stop him. However, we now have the Cart Titan, the Female Titan, the Colossal Titan, the Jaw Titan, and the Armored Titan all on the same team, and we have Levi and Mikasa on that same team as well. So is it possible that all of them together could come up with some strategy to actually defeat the gigantic Eren? They have brilliant strategists and tacticians like Hanji and Armin on their side, but what could they possibly do to stop Godzilla Eren and millions of colossal titans? I think that this unlikely alliance will have no problem overthrowing Floch and the Yeagerists if that is their intention. But taking on the Yeagerists and stopping Eren from destroying the world are two completely different things. In the end, it will all depend on how much control Eren actually has over the Wall Titans and other Titans in general. If Eren has fully harnessed the power of Ymir Fritz and he can control the Titans at will, then I don't see how even this powerful alliance could defeat Eren in his current form. But if for some reason Eren's control of the other Titans is not as complete as we have been led to believe, then it might be possible for the Rebel Alliance to come up with a strategy for tag teaming Eren. Alternatively, this could all be just a prelude to a Code Geass type ending where Eren plays the role of Lelouch, a main character who becomes such a villain that he succeeds in unifying the entire world against him. Now that we're actually seeing the Marleyans allying with Armin, Mikasa, Hanji, and Levi, the idea that Eren could be the Titan version of Lelouch has become a bit more likely. He is already uniting the world against him in a way that would have been impossible before he decided to become a quote-unquote villain. So maybe the Lelouch scenario is exactly what Isayama is going for. Personally, I hope that the Attack on Titan ending won't follow the Code Geass ending too closely because I want Isayama to do something new and surprising. But we'll have to wait and see. What do you guys think about this unholy alliance between the Marleyan invaders and lifelong Survey Corps members? Can this alliance last? And can they do anything against Eren even with 5 Titan Shifters and 2 Ackermans? Or is Eren just too OP? Please give me your thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more Attack on Titan content on the channel, please leave a like to let me know. And if you happen to be new to AnimeUproar, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications. You really have to go through the trouble of clicking the bell and then selecting the option that says all if you want to get our videos, otherwise YouTube will bury them. It's just the way it goes. You can also hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at AnimeUproar for all the latest Attack on Titan news and updates. I want to give a big thank you to all of our AnimeUproar patrons for making these videos possible. With all the problems constantly facing YouTube, patrons are more important than ever. Thank you guys so much. First up, let me thank our The One Tier patrons, the ones who rise above all other clans, including Ingrata, Alolan Atom, The World, Steelers, The School Bus, Tyson Quirino, and A Quiet Respect. And of course, I can't forget our Pro Hero tier patrons, including the one and only Gilgamesh, Nothing But a Fan, Jason Wilson, King Zeldris, Veridala Beat, Anatoly Kazatsky, Alpha Dio, Angel Cruz, Team Sparky 65, Cricket XP, Rohan Kapoor, Jessica Maloney, Emperor Otaku, Timothy E. Vargas, Jean d'Arc, Joe Stanton, JCC Waka, and John Bunton. If you enjoy our videos and you feel that they provide value for you, consider becoming a patron. Even a single dollar will give you access to our patron exclusive Discord, and your name will appear in our videos along with these legendary people. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, see ya, Space Cowboys.